As America stood on the brink of the Gulf War, televisions across the country were filled with images of soldiers, uncertainty, and a nation holding its breath. And in the middle of all that tension, the World Wrestling Federation leaned fully into patriotism. When people needed a hero, Hulk Hogan was the real American. When America needed a villain, Sergeant Slaughter became the most hated man in professional wrestling. Meanwhile, the Ultimate Warrior stood at the peak of his powers, WWF champion. But his mind wasn't clear. It was full of the madness of the Macho King Randy Savage. Let's rewind 35 years ago, a show built on chaos and tensions that brought reality into the pro wrestling world. Let's get ready to rumble.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you ready? Welcome to and new. Oh yeah!
It's going to be the biggest battleground in the history of our sport.
As God is my witness, he is broken in half.
But I'm better than you,
And you know it. You want some? Come get some.
Acknowledge me.
The irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
Welcome, wrestling fans, to the Wrestling Universe Channel's podcast, where pro wrestling fans discuss what we love, pro wrestling. So as always, if it's your first time listening in, we, the Wrestling Universe Channel, would like to thank you for taking the time to listen. And if you have returned, we want to give you a special shout out of thanks for sticking around the Wrestling Universe Channel. We invite you to follow us on YouTube and Spotify. Links below.
It's time to rumble! It's time for the Royal Rumble! Participants include the immortal Hulk Hogan, the Hitman Bret Hart, Animal from Legion of Doom, the Undertaker, the Tugboats, the Model Rick Martel, Mr. Perfect, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, the Earthquake, Saba Simba, the British Bulldog, Paul Roma, Tito Santana, Butch the Bushwhacker, Jake the Snake Roberts, the Warlord, Demolition Smash, Texas Tornado Kerry Von Erich, Hawk of Legion of Doom, Superfly, Luke the Bushwhacker, The Anvil, Demolition Crush, Dino Bravo, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Hercules, Shane Douglas, Nasty Boy Brian Knobs, Haku, and the Macho King Randy Savage. It's every man for himself in the Royal Rumble. Plus, World Wrestling Federation champion, the Ultimate Warrior, defends the title against the #1 contender, Sergeant Slaughter, front and center. And then in tag team action, the Rhodes family. Meet Virgil and Ted DiBiase. The Big Boss Man squares off against the Barbarian. And then the tag team of the Rockers. Meet the Orient Express led by Mr. Fuji. It's time to rumble!
Welcome to the jam-packed Miami Arena. Welcome to the Royal Rumble.
Welcome, wrestling fans, to the Wrestling Universe Channel's podcast, where we discuss everything involving, yes, you got it, pro wrestling. And in this episode, we are jumping back to the Royal Rumble 1991, 35 years ago. The Gulf War was on everyone's televisions at night, as emotions ran high, especially as war was declared in the Middle East 4 days prior to this event. The World Wrestling Federation played off of this reality as their top heel, Sergeant Slaughter, was causing hell with fans every single Saturday morning. I especially remember at that time being a live or die Hulkamaniac and thought there wasn't anyone more patriotic than Hulk Hogan. So you could totally understand at that time where my loyalty stood. By January 1991, the WWF was a whirlwind of shifting alliances, heated rivalries, and larger-than-life characters, setting the perfect storm for the Royal Rumble. The Ultimate Warrior entered the new year as WWF Champion. Randy Savage's obsession with becoming world champion again was personal, intense, and the only person in his way, of course, was the Ultimate Warrior. Meanwhile, the storyline of the era leaned heavily on patriotism and real-world tensions as Sergeant Slaughter shocked audiences by abandoning his American hero image and allying with Iraq. This heel turn made Slaughter the most despised man in pro wrestling, and it set up one of the most high-stakes title feuds of the early 90s. Dusty Rhodes and his son Dustin were in a heated feud with the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and his bodyguard Virgil, spotlighting both generational clashes and issues of respect and loyalty. Even though, more than ever, for weeks, fans were witnessing Virgil being humiliated at the expense of the $1 Million Man. On a larger scale, the Royal Rumble itself had evoked into more than just a match. It was a time where fans could see people like Jake Roberts possibly get his hands on Rick the Model Martel, wondering if The Undertaker was going to put 29 other superstars in body bags. Demolition and the Legion of Doom could very well collide, and of course, America's ultimate hero dedicating this match to the troops and proving he is a real American. Let's take a peek behind the mysterious curtain 35 years ago on what drama, situations, politics, everything hush-hush that only the dirt sheets somehow get a hold of. It's time to go behind the curtain. From the December 3rd, 1990 Wrestling Observer newsletter, an angle was shot on TV where the Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine broke up, with Jimmy Hart siding with the Honky Tonk Man, so Greg the Hammer is apparently turning babyface. From the December 17th newsletter, Andre the Giant has been announced as returning for the Royal Rumble. Moving ahead to the January 8th, 1990 Wrestling Observer newsletter, Andre will not be working the Royal Rumble, but Dave Meltzer nearly had a heart attack when they actually announced on TV that it was due to a leg injury and that he wouldn't be there. Continuing with that newsletter, Percy Pringle will be starting with the World Wrestling Federation on January 6, unbeknownst to what role. Now, just to backtrack to the Andre the Giant info, I personally don't remember this announcement as a kid watching Saturday Morning Wrestling, but when listening to Bruce Pritchard's podcast, Something to Wrestle With, I found it interesting hearing more about this many years later. Originally, Andre was rumored to enter the Rumble at number 30, and they wanted to have him win it. Bruce continues, as we all know, Andre always won Battle Royals throughout his career, basically 2 decades. Pritchard said on his podcast, Andre's physical condition deteriorated so much at the point that his back and ankles prevented him from even performing. Let's dive into the business side of this event where we talk revenue, attendance, and impact, basically where the numbers tell the story. The 1991 Royal Rumble was being held at the Miami Arena with mostly a sellout of 16,000 fans in attendance, and the estimated pay-per-view buy rate was 1.0 to 1.2, very strong for the era. Alright wrestling fans, it is time for the rundown. We're talking about the match card rundown. And for this episode, let's go back to a classic voice that makes perfect sense for this time era.
Our opening contest of the Royal Rumble 1991 was a real treat as the Rockers versus the Orient Express with Mr. Fuji. Let me start off by saying this is the match that everyone remembers besides the highlights of the Rumble match and WWF title match. If you've seen this match, you understand. If not, you need to watch it. I still believe this match is on everyone's top 5 matches from Royal Rumble history, maybe ranked number 1. This match wastes absolutely no time establishing its tone. Before the bell even rings, Tanaka knocks Marty Jannetty off the ropes, and moments later, Shawn Michaels goes flying off a double backdrop, immediately signaling that this is going to be fast, physical, and chaotic. The Rockers respond with pure adrenaline. Marty drills Kato with a drop kick, Shawn follows with a super kick to Tanaka, and the Rockers hit a double slam that sends the crowd into a frenzy. The Orient Express try to slow things down by brawling on the floor, but the Rockers counter with stereo suicide dives, popping the crowd again. A brief USA chant breaks out, awkward but enthusiastic, before Marty and Kato restart things in the ring, flying through a rapid exchange of holds, escapes, and counters. Kato rolls through into a pin. Marty bridges out, then snaps into a backslide for a near fall, showing just how crisp the opening exchanges are. Tanaka shoves Marty from the apron to create an opening, but Marty responds with an arm drag on Tanaka and tags in Shawn. Michaels immediately goes to work on the arm, coming off the top rope and locking in an armbar, followed by a knee drop to the joint. Tanaka fights back with a flying forearm for 2 and transitions into a chin lock as the crowd shifts its attention to heckling Mr. Fuji at ringside. The Express rely heavily on blind tags and misdirection, nearly colliding multiple times but narrowly avoiding disaster. Shawn repeatedly turns their tactics against them, running them into each other and scoring a high knee on Tanaka for another near fall. Although Tanaka is the illegal man at points, the pace is so frantic that the match just barrels forward. Shawn applies a sleeper, but Kato cleverly draws Marty into the ring, distracting the referee. That allows Kato to break the hole with a double axe handle from the top. Tanaka follows with a leg sweep, and chaos breaks out again as Marty is pulled into the ring. Shawn answers with a moonsault onto Kato, and all 4 men spill into the action. The Rockers shift into highlight reel mode, flipping out of stereo atomic drops, hitting stereo drop kicks, and then Shawn pulls out a move years ahead of its time, faking the ropes in a motion reminiscent of what would later become the 619. Shawn follows that by launching himself off the top rope with a crossbody to the floor. Back inside, the Rockers keep the pressure on with double team elbows, a vertical suplex, and more near falls. But miscommunication strikes again. Marty accidentally distracts the referee, allowing Kato to hit a stun gun on Shawn. Fuji adds a cane shot to the throat for good measure, with Marty's hot-headed reactions continuing to cost his partner. The Express connect with a leapfrog splash and a nerve hold. Kato hits a flare flip in the corner. Tanaka adds a super kick, and a double clothesline sends Shawn spinning in a full 360 cell. Shawn finally creates separation and makes the hot tag to Marty, and the crowd explodes. Marty unloads with slams, right hands, a power slam for 2, and a leaping back elbow before Tanaka makes the save. Shawn takes Tanaka to the floor while Marty and Kato trade frantic backslides and counters. All 4 men return to the ring, and the Rockers connect with a double super kick. The rocket launcher attempt is cut off when Tanaka kicks Shawn off the top rope, but the momentum has shifted. In the final moments, Shawn doubles Tanaka over, Marty slingshots in, and rolls Kato up for the pinfall at 19:15. This was a fast-paced, innovative tag match that showcased just how far ahead of its time the Rockers truly were, and why this bout remains a hidden gem of the early 90s tag division. Dave Meltzer gave this match a 4-star rating. It's interview time as the Queen of the World Wrestling Federation. Sensational Sherry is being interviewed by Mean Gene, and she is going on about how Sergeant Slaughter has promised King Macho Man Randy Savage a title shot after the Royal Rumble if he wins. So she is pleading that the WWF champion, the Ultimate Warrior, does the same. Warrior comes out, and I must say unusual, wearing a leather USA jacket, not normal to Warrior standards whatsoever. After what seems like a long, drawn-out conversation, we see Sherry on her knees in a position that adults were asking, "Our kids watch this," Warrior yells in the face of Sherry. And Warrior pounds on his chest and leaves. This match was another chapter in Big Boss Man's ongoing feud with Bobby Heenan and the Heenan family, sparked by Heenan's relentless jokes about Boss Man's mother. The crowd made their feelings clear right away, unloading with loud "Weasel" chants as the match stalled early to let the atmosphere build. Once they finally locked up, Barbarian struck first with a knee to the ribs and followed with a flurry of uppercuts, immediately establishing this as a physical, power-based fight. Boss Man answered back with a big boot and his own uppercut, sending Barbarian to the floor. As Barbarian regrouped, Boss Man added insult to injury by spitting on Heenan at ringside. Back in the ring, Barbarian stayed aggressive, using a double axe handle from the top and a heavy clothesline to keep Boss Man on the defensive. A mistimed exchange left Boss Man's foot tangled in the ropes, allowing Barbarian to lay in shots while the referee tried to free him. Barbarian even disguised his attempts to untangle Boss Man by throwing strikes, keeping the pressure on. The action spilled outside again, where Barbarian ran Bossman back first into the ring post. Heenan added a cheap shot of his own. Back inside, Barbarian scored a near fall with a backbreaker and then locked in a bear hug, with Bossman selling the desperation by clawing at Barbarian's back as the referee checked his arm. Bossman fought out with headbutts and even biting to break free, then stunned the crowd by snapping off an unexpected move for a big man in 1991. Both men traded near falls, including a stun gun from Bossman and a roll-up from Barbarian. After a double knockdown, Barbarian shocked the crowd by going to the top rope and hitting a shoulder block, nearly scoring the win. Barbarian followed with a pile driver that left Bossman flopping on the mat, then climbed to the top again. This time, Barbarian connected with a crossbody, but Bossman rolled through and scored the pinfall at 14-15. Dave Meltzer gave this match a 2 3/4 star rating.
Thank you, gentlemen. With me now, Sergeant Slaughter, the #1 contender for the World Wrestling Federation Championship, and his commanding officer, General Adnan.
Hot! Dress right! Dress!
General Adnan.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أيها الإخوان العرب أقدم إليكم البطل سارجنت سلاتر وإني فخورا به وجميع العرب في العالم يفتخرون بالبطل سارجنت سلاتر.
Sergeant Slaughter, tonight you'll be
Shut
facing...
your hole, puke, and listen up. And all you maggots out there, listen up. If you think that there's turmoil in the world today, you wait until I leave this area and I head to the ring to face the ultimate puke for the World Wrestling Federation Championship. And when I defeat the ultimate puke and I, Sergeant Slaughter, become the new World Wrestling Federation champion, then you will see some turmoil. Turmoil like you've never seen before. What these maggots need is a leader. And I, Sergeant Slaughter, will be their new leader. I have integrity, and I'm someone they can look up to and respect. Ultimate puke, your weeks are no longer numbered. Your days are no longer numbered. Your hours are no longer numbered. Your seconds are numbered. Ultimate puke, you are dismissed. And that's an order.
It was now time for the WWF World Title match as the Ultimate Warrior defended his title against Sergeant Slaughter first off. This is quite shocking as this is the first time a World Title match was third on any pay-per-view card. When the match began, Slaughter immediately avoided Warrior's power, retreating to the outside and using stalling tactics. Warrior controlled much of the early offense with powerful clotheslines, shoulder blocks, and press slams, while Slaughter relied on distractions and outside positioning to survive. Adnan frequently drew the referee's attention, allowing Slaughter to recover whenever Warrior built momentum. Midway through the match, Warrior sent Slaughter hard into the corner. Slaughter flipped over the turnbuckles and spilled to the outside. This moment opened the door for the first major interference. As Slaughter regrouped, Queen Sensational Sherry made her way down to ringside. When both men returned to the ring, Warrior charged forward to continue his attack, but Sherry reached in and grabbed Warrior's foot, halting his momentum. Furious, Warrior immediately abandoned the match and chased Sherry up the aisle toward the entrance curtain. Waiting there was Macho King Randy Savage, who ambushed Warrior and beat him down outside the ring, while Slaughter distracted referee Earl Hebner, preventing him from seeing the assault. Eventually, Warrior made it back to the ring, shaken, but still fighting. Despite the damage, Warrior once again gained control, overpowering Slaughter and driving him backward with sheer intensity. It appeared the champion was regaining his footing. Late in the match, the second interference occurred. Sherry returned to ringside and climbed onto the apron, again attempting to distract Warrior. This time, Warrior grabbed her, brought her into the ring, and lifted her up for a gorilla press slam. As Warrior hoisted Sherry overhead, Macho King Randy Savage sprinted down the aisle to save her. Warrior tossed Sherry over the top rope where she collided with Savage on the floor. As Warrior turned to celebrate and refocus, Sergeant Slaughter seized the opening, driving his knee high into Warrior's back and sending the champion chest first into the ropes. Slaughter followed by choking Warrior across the ropes, using them for leverage until the referee intervened and forced the break. While Warrior stood dazed and gasping for air, Randy Savage struck again, sliding back into position and smashing Warrior over the head with his scepter. The blow left the champion unconscious. Slaughter capitalized immediately, stepping in and delivering a falling elbow drop onto the motionless Warrior. The referee counted the pinfall. Sergeant Slaughter was declared the winner, capturing the WWF World Heavyweight Championship. The match ended with Slaughter celebrating amid massive boos. Dave Meltzer rated this world title match with 3.5 stars. Next up on the card, we watched the Mountie take on Koko B. Ware. Early on, the Mountie struck first with a kick to the midsection, but missed an elbow drop, allowing Koko B. Ware to respond with a sharp drop kick. The Mountie quickly rolled out to the floor to regroup with Jimmy Hart. Back inside the ring, Koko gained brief momentum with an arm drag and an arm bar as his parrot Frankie looked on from ringside. The Mountie shifted control with a strong backdrop that sent Koko over the top rope to the floor. Koko nearly scored a surprise pin with a sunset flip upon returning, but he couldn't capitalize. The pace slowed as the Mountie continued to punish Koko with shots to the back and a stiff punt to the ribs. Koko countered a pile driver attempt with a backdrop and later connected with a neck breaker, managing to string together a short comeback. He followed with a headbutt, a slam, and a well-executed top rope dropkick that he landed on his feet. Jimmy Hart tried to interfere again, but Koko fought him off and nearly stole the match with a crossbody from the middle rope for a close 2 count. However, the Mountie quickly shut that down, catching Koko and delivering a chokeslam-style slam to score the pinfall at 9 minutes and 11 seconds. Dave Meltzer rated this contest with 1 3/4 stars. We come to the final match of the night prior to our Rumble main event as Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes versus Ted DiBiase and Virgil. This match came in with real tension behind it. Not long before this event, Ted DiBiase had brutally beaten Dustin Rhodes and left him bleeding in front of his father, giving the feud legitimate edge. The Rhodes family controlled the opening moments, dominating both DiBiase and Virgil and sending them to the floor early. DiBiase barked orders and shoved Virgil back into the ring, forcing him to start against Dustin. Virgil swung wildly and missed a clothesline, allowing Dustin to level him with a leaping clothesline. Virgil repeatedly bailed to the floor, each time drawing DiBiase's verbal abuse. Back inside, Virgil briefly fired back with a knee to the ribs, but Dustin continued to overpower him, stomping his face and knocking him back to the floor again. DiBiase finally demanded the tag and took control, working Dustin over with clotheslines, chops, and taunts directed at Dusty. But DiBiase set too early for a backdrop, allowing Dustin to counter and bring the crowd back into it. The Rhodes family built momentum with rapid tags and elbow strikes, leading to a hot tag for Dusty Rhodes, who exploded with corner elbows and locked on a sleeper. Virgil repeatedly broke up pins and saves, keeping the match alive. Dustin re-entered with a drop kick, but again, Virgil intervened. Momentum shifted when DiBiase tagged Virgil back in. Dustin missed a knee in the corner and sold the injury heavily, allowing Virgil to smartly target the knee. Virgil and DiBiase took turns wrapping Dustin's leg around the ring post, drawing Dusty into the ring to distract the referee while attempting double team attacks. During the chaos, Virgil accidentally struck DiBiase, leading DiBiase to knock Virgil off the apron. That miscommunication allowed Dustin to make the hot tag, but a missed elbow opened the door for DiBiase to steal the win with a roll-up at 9 minutes and 58 seconds. After the match, DiBiase grabbed a microphone and reminded everyone that everyone has a price. He berated Virgil and ordered him to place the $1 million championship around his waist. The moment was stretched out, the crowd growing louder and more hostile as garbage rained toward the ring. DiBiase threatened Virgil's family while Piper lost his mind on commentary. Virgil finally bent down to pick up the title and instead cracked DiBiase across the head with it, triggering a thunderous crowd reaction. Meltzer gave this tag team match a rating of 2 1/4 stars.
There are 29 men that think they are ready for the Royal Rumble, but yet there is only one snake that is absolutely sure what he's got to do. You see, I see a lot of men sweating. Not me. I'm cold, brother. Ice water running through the veins. You see, Rick Martel, I know what I gotta do. Like a surgeon, brother, I will cut my way through those 29 men to get to you.
In the Royal Rumble, it's every man for himself, baby!
The Rumble's here, and I know a lot of people are gonna go right for the earthquake. But I'm ready, so bring them all on. Bring on The Undertaker. Bring on Mr. Perfect. Bring on Tugboat. And Hogan, I've got something special just for you.
The 29 plots have been dug. The Undertaker will bury all 29 opponents. And the only thing the other 29 competitors will be doing tomorrow is
Resting in peace.
As I've always said, it's not what you do, but how you look doing it. You know, and just watch me shine when I throw everybody over that top rope. Oh yeah, and Jake, I haven't forgot about you. I know the way things look for you lately. You need a little guidance. So it'll be my pleasure to guide you right out of that ring because I'm the winner of that Royal Rumble.
30 of the greatest athletes in the World Wrestling Federation in the Royal Rumble. 29 are going to be laying on the floor. One man's going to be left standing. Guess who?
that one man is Mr. Perfect, Intercontinental Champion. This is what makes me different from the other 29 athletes. I'm by far the greatest athlete the World Wrestling Federation has ever produced. I will win the Royal Rumble.
The 1991 Royal Rumble was more than just a match. It was the heart of the show, and every entrant knew it. The 1991 Royal Rumble kicks off with Bret Hitman Hart drawing the unlucky #1 spot, immediately putting himself in Iron Man territory. Dino Bravo enters at #2, and the early moments establish Bret's strategy, quick strikes, movement, and survival. Bret fires off forearms, drop kicks, and an atomic drop, nearly eliminating Bravo early, but Bravo saves himself on the apron and hangs on. At #3, Greg the Hammer Valentine enters and immediately goes after Bravo. No alliances, no mercy. The two heels beat on each other, giving Bret a much-needed breather. Bravo is finally eliminated just over 3 minutes in, and Valentine asserts himself as a physical presence. Paul Roma enters next, briefly double-teaming Bret before things break down into chaos again. With the crowd reacting strongly to near eliminations and momentum shifts, the match picks up steam with the Texas Tornado, followed by Rick the Model Martel, whose arrival quietly changes the long-term story of the match. Martel plays the survival game perfectly, avoiding danger, slipping under ropes, and letting others fight. Saba Simba, Tony Atlas, enters next, but is quickly eliminated by Martel, though not without controversy as Martel briefly goes over the top rope himself, causing Gorilla to question the rules. The crowd erupts when Jake the Snake Roberts enters, immediately targeting Martel, and Jake nearly gets eliminated due to Martel's crafty escapes, but survives long enough to keep the tension high. The ring continues to fill with power as Hercules, Tito Santana, and eventually The Undertaker arrive. Undertaker makes a massive impact, eliminating Bret Hart around the 20-minute mark, ending Bret's impressive run and shifting the match's focus. As the Rumble reaches its midpoint, the ring becomes crowded with veterans and heavy hitters. British Bulldog, Smash, Hawk, and Jimmy Snuka enter in succession. Undertaker clears space by eliminating Butch, but chaos reigns as eliminations come in bunches. Hawk brings explosive energy, only to be targeted by multiple wrestlers to slow him down. A major turning point comes when Randy Savage, scheduled as entrant number 18, never appears. This allows Animal to enter instead. And together with Hawk, the Road Warriors briefly dominate. Undertaker is eliminated in a strong, protected spot, and Hawk follows shortly after, thinning the field. As the clock approaches 40 minutes, Earthquake enters and does exactly what everyone expects, clearing the ring. He eliminates Animal decisively and becomes the most dangerous man in the match. Mr. Perfect arrives next, drawing heavy boos. At #24, Hulk Hogan enters and the entire building erupts. Hogan immediately starts starts eliminating bodies, including Smash and later Greg Valentine, while reigniting his heated rivalry with Earthquake. The ring fills again with Haku, Jim Neidhart, Crush, and Tugboat, but Hogan continues to stand tall despite being constantly targeted. Through it all, Rick Martel quietly surpasses the longevity record, eventually lasting over 52 minutes, an incredible achievement built entirely on strategy and timing rather than power. His run finally ends just past the 1 hour mark when British Bulldog knocks him off the top rope, bringing the crowd to its feet. The final stretch boils down to Hogan, Earthquake, and Brian Knobbs. Hogan absorbs a brutal beating, splashes elbows and power offense, but the crowd senses what's coming. Hogan hulks up, drops Knobbs with a big boot, and finally squares off one-on-one with Earthquake. Earthquake dominates early, even attempting a pinfall. That misstep allows Hogan to kick out, hulk up, and unleash the inevitable comeback. Big boot, body slam, and finally a clothesline that sends Earthquake over the top rope. At 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 16 seconds, Hulk Hogan wins the 1991 Royal Rumble. It's not just a victory, it's destiny fulfilled. Dave Meltzer rated this Rumble match with 2.25 stars.
And fans, we want to take a moment to actually thank ELEVENLABS. If you're looking to create a lifelike audio, with ELEVENLABS AI voice generator, you can produce the most realistic speech with ease. Whether it's for audiobooks, video voiceovers, commercials, or any project that needs human-like narration, ELEVENLABS has got you covered. ELEVENLABS offers 32 languages. Their platform is perfect for all your audio needs. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description below to explore more about ELEVENLABS today. All right, wrestling fans, get your erasers out. It's time for us to be the bookers for this event. It's the segment of the show that really starts making all of us fans a fantasy booker. Here are some what-if scenarios and or ideas about this event for many of you to ponder and discuss. What if the Big Boss Man finally got his hands on Bobby the Brain Heenan after defeating the Barbarian? For months leading into the Royal Rumble 1991, Heenan relentlessly mocked the Big Boss Man, most notably crossing the line with repeated insults about the Boss Man's mother. A classic Heenan tactic designed to generate nuclear heat. Yet at the Rumble, that tension went unresolved. If Boss Man did get his hands on Bobby Heenan, it would have electrified the crowd. More importantly, it would not have hurt Heenan's value. It would have enhanced it. Fans love seeing Bobby the Brain Heenan squirm, get into situations where he's totally in trouble. And giving Boss Man that moment would have strengthened his babyface momentum heading into WrestleMania 7, where he would face Mr. Perfect for the Intercontinental Championship. That small moment could have added emotional fuel to Boss Man's WrestleMania story, reinforcing him as a no-nonsense enforcer who finally shut the loudest mouth in the World Wrestling Federation up. Here's another fascinating what if. This one surrounds Andre the Giant. What if Andre the Giant had been physically able to return for one last Royal Rumble appearance in 1991? Even a limited, protected Andre would have created an enormous moment. Imagine Andre entering mid-Rumble to a massive reaction, clearing the ring effortlessly as commentary sells the impossible task ahead. He wouldn't need to last long. 5 to 7 minutes would have been more than enough, because Andre's presence was never about endurance, it was about mythology. From a booking standpoint, Andre winning the Royal Rumble would not have made sense at this stage of his career, nor would it have aligned with WrestleMania 7 plans, even though that was supposedly rumored. However, his elimination could have been one of the most important rubs of the era. If Earthquake eliminated Andre, it would have further cemented him as a true monster heel. On the other hand, The Undertaker eliminating Andre could have been a generational torch-passing moment, visually signaling the rise of the WWF's next supernatural attraction by conquering the most legendary giant in wrestling history. Either scenario would have created an unforgettable Royal Rumble moment, elevated a future main event star, and added an iconic visual to Andre's legacy. One last stand on one of wrestling's biggest stages. Some of the memorable standouts and worst moments in 1991's Royal Rumble? Well, let's start with the best. Of course, nothing tops the list like the amazing tag team match between the Rockers and Orient Express. Still to this date, one of the best matches in Royal Rumble history. The Royal Rumble finish, especially for that time period, totally cool. For the worst moment, To be fair, and it's just about placing, was the match between the Mountie and Koko B. Ware. We needed a match to kind of let it sink in. That very well killed that match. And what about the pop of the night? What got fans overly excited? Got them on their feet? Caused pandemonium? Well, let's take a listen, shall we?
Train half as hard if I get number 20 or 25. You cannot do it. You've got to train like you are number 1. Here comes another one. It's the Hulkster. This place is going crazy. And we got the Royal Rumble.
Hulk Hogan making his entrance at the Royal Rumble was a true moment. But honestly, what really made the crowd go wild? Let's take a listen.
That's right. Like I always say, everybody's got a price. Oh, he did it! Yeah! Listen to this capacity crowd, they love it. All right! I love it! And take it all back, Virgil! Look at the look on him! Yes! You're beautiful! He got the message!
Virgil stand up for himself against the $1 Million Man after so many years, and the fans really enjoyed it. The 1991 Royal Rumble takes us back to a time when wrestling felt larger than life. This was an era when wrestling wasn't consumed in clips or highlights, but in full shows, watched start to finish, with every entrance, every promo, and every moment feeling important. For fans of the 80s and 90s, this event represents something deeper than wins and losses. It reminds us of a time when you didn't know the finish before the match started, when the Royal Rumble felt unpredictable. Rewatching this event today isn't just about reliving the matches. It's about remembering how wrestling made us feel. It's about being a kid again, sitting too close to the TV, listening to Gorilla Monsoon, and believing, even for a few hours, that anything could happen. The WWF Royal Rumble 1991 reminds us of a time when wrestling felt real, magical, and personal. And for those who lived it, that feeling never truly goes away. As always, we appreciate and thank you all for taking the time to be a part of our episode here on the Wrestling Universe channel. Please let us know how we did, or if you have anything you would like to contribute to this episode, we would love to hear your feedback. And you know the drill. Follow us on all of our social platforms, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify, and we look forward to the next episode. So long, wrestling fans.